Welcome back. So, playing some of this from Lo-Fi Music, Lo-Fi Geek probably. I'm not sure who writes these things. Sorry, guys. Yeah, so I started making images of shallograms that I figured were pretty revealing to the fact that they're not fossils, in that they have alignments that are, at some point it's like, alright, how are these alignments happening in fossils? Literally, science can only say, if they're fossils, it can only say coincidence. That's all it can do. It can't explain what I'm about to show you, when the reality is aligned eddies are producing this. So this one, obviously it's a little tricky seeing this with the lines atop it, so I figured let's just go ahead and open this too. We'll do it like that, maybe. That one small, this one big though. So over here, I'm basically drawing to this with this light pink or light purple line, lavender. This lavender line starting from here and then up there, so that's related. Oops. And then over here, between like here and here, which they're all relatively parallel, interestingly, in this one. This one I did like from up here, so like a pivot point, this very corner here, and then this very boundary here. And then just down there where we see it aligns with there as well. And down there, I mean, not the best necessarily down here, but I try not to do just like for the sake of it looking lines, like really this one along this boundary. So that's that one. And obviously there's more faces of the rock, so if we want to check out the rock in full, we can look at, that's the top or bottom. That's probably the top here. The other one is probably bottom. Unclear when they're pretty similar at a glance, but same one. Okay, so that's the idea of what I was doing. I did 16 of these, 16 separate shallograms, and I labeled them by number for that purpose so I could quickly find which ones they were. So 31A, here we are again, a new one. So this one through the chakras aligns with this line, as well as pretty much the boundary here of this fossil shell. Not a fossil. And then this one, the chakras down here. I don't know if you can see with me there. These chakras align with this. And then I drew it because I thought it was interesting. Sometimes they're not like in the more traditional way of how I've looked at it, where there's basically a flat face here, and I continued that over and I noticed it aligns with where this stops, and then there. So there's an alignment there, which I drew here. And so I drew it in there because there's an alignment there, and I'm putting aligned eddies. So I figured that was at least worth noting. Like there's something relating to this eddy and this space and this boundary and like the path between them that also relates to this portion, and like it not being etched there, I guess. Like the bit where it starts going around. Almost like current that would have etched there instead was favorably went over here instead. That's kind of what I was thinking, or vice versa. Probably over here and in here, but also over here because of that boundary. Anything past that boundary didn't flow in, so it was more likely to find some other place to flow in. So maybe it went in here. Although I would suspect it went out over here. I don't know. Same general concept though. this one, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 in a line. There's a chakra down here. There's a boundary of this one here. There's a boundary of this one here. There's a boundary of this one here. 4 alignments, plus also this thing. I don't know if I noticed that. This like triangle is also reaching it. 5 features all in alignment along that path. And then over here, opposite side of it, 1, 2, 3 Shalagram Ammonite features that are in alignment. Maybe not like parallel, but still in alignment because currents aren't necessarily parallel with one another. And then the chakra from this one in alignment with this boundary. Coincidence or caused by currents? It's really not even a question at all, but science is, you know, very opinionated and unwilling to listen to new information that disproves previous ideas, even though science is presented as if like it's just the scientific method, and that's why it's so good, and that's why atheism is correct. Like, that's actually what's happening. It's really people that are atheists that are like, science is the way, and we won't listen to anyone who denies what we're saying, though. Like, you know, you guys just, at some point, someone took control of the conversation. It's not like truth took control. It's just someone who had preconceived notions, didn't like the Bible, didn't like what they were saying. They're like, this is some bullshit, I disagree, and I'm gonna enforce it into the world with the manipulation of science's conclusions to make people arrogant. Like, arrogance got taught by the like people of that mind. Like, oh, for sure we know what we're talking about enough to deny anyone from speaking. So there's another one. I'll only open the other ones if it's like unclear what is actually underneath. Like this one here is kind of unclear what's right there. Why I would find that relevant. It's a little more clear when you can see the actual behind it. I was thinking about making them have transparency, but I figured it's already hard enough to see them. Another one, so these chakras over to there, this chakra points at this chakra like along this axis of the chakra. I mean, maybe some of these are in question, like questionable in terms of the straight lineness of it, but mind you, like, these are surfaces that bend and things, and like depending on the angle of looking at them, like if you draw a straight line like off here, like obviously that doesn't make any sense, so it like has to wrap around the rock. But because they're either very flat or just aligned well, straight lines do sometimes work. So there's a straight line off of this boundary that continues over there to this boundary, straight line off the other boundary on this side that continues to this boundary, straight line off of this edge. So there's literally 3 sides of this structure that form outlines of this boundary, and this boundary to this structure. There's probably one I didn't draw there that goes up there to this boundary as well. Now that I look at it, I imagine that's there. Let's see, 116. Let's just do it. Let's add it. Open recent 116A. Did I not remove this? I don't know why this background's here now. Oh my god, I must have not saved it right. Oh well. Oh well, never mind. Disregard last. I was resaving files and by the next number and then deleting everything to make it so I could just have the template. Maybe not the best idea, but so that one, and then these chakras pointing at that, so that's pretty much everything in there for that one. Plus also what we just noticed there. And others, like this is literally one angle of the rock, as well as not just straight past like here. Like this is actually bending. It's not going in a straight line. There's a current flow involved in this that's bending. So I'm only drawing the like straight line relationships, but sometimes that doesn't actually fit the, it needs the incorporation of the bending, maybe reminiscent of like gravity. Another one, this one's pretty incredible. Chakras up to that edge, and then the boundary here up to that edge, which also is up to that edge, and then I just extended it and noticed, well, it goes over here, so I'll draw it over here. Basically, I saw this points over here, so I decided to start at its far point and go along that edge, and then I just went to that corner because it does. And then I went along the top of this one and just continued, and voila, and like this one is especially far apart from one another, which is again pure coincidence in terms of scientific interpretation. And then on top of that, the bottom side as well goes to, basically the bottom side is a little less like eroded at this corner, but this straight line pretty much meets that at this corner. Also, I guess I didn't think of this, but if you follow this straight line on the bottom this way, it's generally at like a chakra that would have formed, like we see the, like this kind of structure, but only half of it. So like this chakra would have been at the center, which would have been in line with this. And then I went over here. This one aligns with this chakra atop it, not actually within it, like at the center of it, as well as this one aligns with the chakra, so it's like there's a relationship. This chakra system, the boundary, like where it goes across, generally speaking, goes over to there. Maybe we can open this one. Kind of hard to see, I guess. I might have just kind of inferred a boundary there. But it's definitely got something going on. I think there's a boundary there. Like a general pillar like this nature that's like right there. So like it's one side of its boundary would be there, which is pointing over there. Also maybe this chakra and is more in line with the other side, which is maybe why it's so wide, some interaction where it didn't erode so much here and was able to relieve pressure over here instead. So this chakra there. And then this one has a straight line. I mean, this is around a bend, but I just saw it was a straight line enough to go there, so I was like, maybe I'll just put it in there. Some of them it was literally, I'll just put it in there. It's not like, haha, it's like absolute bitches. People see like anything they doubt, they'll be like, oh, this line right here, it goes around a bend. Everything he's saying is wrong. Let me move on with my life without incorporating anything. No change of my state of mind whatsoever. La 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 la, like that kind of behavior. Another one. This one maybe I should open to 191. I believe it was this face. Just saved it 191A. It was 191F, bruh. Okay. So, this straight line, basically, I use this as a starting point, but it bends. But I just continued over. I mean, and I think I kind of acknowledged the bending here as well to kind of say, well, even though I'm not exactly following it, it does have like a combination where there's a bend. So this path goes over there generally. I just went off of here mostly to over here. And then off of here to over here, which is again like along here generally. So there's a relationship between this shell and this shell, as well as these chakras and this boundary here. It reminds me, in one of the Australia episodes recently, maybe like 330 range, I came across some research by someone, I forget her name, in Australia, who was saying it's not random. Like, there's a way to measure randomness in something she was measuring, like where the earthquakes are, maybe the seismic activity, and relating it to boundaries of Australia, both outside and within, like craton boundaries within Australia, and finding it's not random, like there's a relationship and there's a way to do it. Very much reminds me of this. Like, at some point, it's not random. We can't explain this by happenstance and coincidence. That's not science, that's cheating. Sorry, scientists, that ain't science, it's cheating. Did this one's pretty incredible, honestly. This very straight line here, up to that corner, down the chakras here, up to that corner, down the chakras here, to this corner, this point, this far extension point, along this boundary, and just continuing. It goes all the way to that corner. I don't know why exactly that relationship would be present, but it seems to be related. Don't know if this one points at like that corner too. I'm not sure. And maybe this even points. I don't think this points at like that corner. That would be interesting. Maybe this one I didn't mess up the file. Let's check it out. Open at 235. Just draw some lines like right from here. I'm not just looking at just looking over here to make sure it's in line, and do like that. It's a little bending, so it's hard to say. But maybe if I start here, I know it's more like the final result of the bend. It does look relatively close to where this point is. So there might be a relationship in that way. Let me just put that there for lols. And then see that goes more towards maybe the center of this face than like maybe there somewhat. Certainly, like when you see this, like this is a straight line along this path. Like I'm putting it along that path, but like notice where my mouse is over here, and then I move it a bit. It's still kind of along that path. Still kind of like there's definitely like a range of angles that makes it an approximation to a degree, but I'm really not trying to like cheat this in a direction, except for where I feel merited, like here. Like this seems reasonable because there's a bend, to then say like what doesn't go in here goes out that way to a degree between the systems, and goes over there. So like it kind of makes sense just from a current flow standpoint. It's just not what I would like it to be. Optimally, it's just straight up like here's a path, here's a straight line atop it that really clearly follows it, and like this goes to some other unrelated system and shows they are related. According to fossilization, these are just not related shells. They were just contained in the same rock, in the same matrix that then became this fossil. Never mind, it's got a hexagon over here with a hexagon there, and all the oddities that demonstrates not fossils. Never mind that, it's just happenstance. I forget what exactly I was saying, so I just ended it with, and coincidence time, erosion, coincidence. We did it, guys. We're doing such a good job. I'm sorry, Mark. Down the middle of the chakra is kind of hard to see. Points to that boundary. From this like far corner and down along there to that boundary, I thought it was interesting enough that I put it. And then along this axis, it's not exactly to like I was aiming really for like the structure itself usually. This is more so outside the structure, but it's still like the edge of influence, like this kind of stuff kind of stops at that location in line with there. So, and then over here, like this isn't even the shape of the fossils, and yet the fossils like, and yet it still shows their relationships are like, and then along this axis from here to that corner, which also went right through that point. This one, I just started drawing straight lines. Like anywhere I drew, I see a straight line. Like right here, it's straight. Let's pull this up to 276. D. Which face was that? This one. This one. It had to be this one. Let's maximize it for a second. Like this straight line is what we're looking at there in the green, and then I just extended it while overlaying that straight line and looked, and voila, it goes to the boundary there. Over here there's a straight line within, so that's what this blue one is. It's a little off angle perhaps around here, like it doesn't go exactly along there, but I essentially went from that point to there and let it just be as it is. Along this straight face goes to there, along this side to this, which is a little off, but I went ultimately to right there. So I started over here and went over here, and it basically is the boundary here. And then I just noticed this one, it goes around the rock somewhat. Like it's definitely, there's a bend there, so maybe this one's like a little inappropriate in some way. Like there's certainly a relationship, it's just probably not exactly this straight line kind of way, more bending around than the straight line really captures, but it's good enough approximation to show there's probably a relationship. Also, in this one, this side had like an upper boundary which goes over here. I don't know if I said that yet. So then we have this 4 lines around this one that are all interrelated. This didn't anywhere, like an argument against what I'm saying is like, well, what about this straight line? Why does it not line up with something else? Like maybe it aligns up actually with right there. I don't know. I didn't even try. But because it's complex, like it doesn't change that this shouldn't happen in fossils. It just shouldn't happen. They shouldn't position themselves. Oh, your shell, that one that was like across the whole rock, is too good. It's too good. This one, this one. Oh my god! When I saw this, plus with this chakra, like this chakra to this chakra, it looks like there's kind of a chakra there that ended up forming more of a spiral into the rock than like this kind of structure, but was still kind of forming something. And then that one to this boundary, and then more importantly though, this relationship is ridiculous. It's insane. ones that are like that, where they're not even, there's no like, oh, they're physically touching one another kind of argument like that. Like if they're on top of one another, well, they're shells and they're on top of one another, so their parts should align. Like, duh, dude, stop with your ridiculous bullshit. You don't know what you're talking about. These fucking crackpots are getting on my nerves. Like this one is more atop one another, but at the same time, like, it's too good. It's not even the shell, it's the window into the shell also aligns, as well as this like subtlety out here. I think this one we need to open. I definitely try to parallel these because it's 2 points, like the far point to this far point, so it's kind of just 2 points. Far point to far point, 2 points. 3 points is definitely more optimal, but when it's a far point of a structure to another far point, 2 points is still solid, especially when they're parallel like this relatively. So I tried to keep this one relatively parallel, admittedly. Which one was this? It was 294. I don't want to lie to you guys, motherfucker. It's basically there, this spot right there. Even though I see that it like extends potentially past like over here to like maybe there. If I were to draw like the continuation of this, it would go past. Might be a relationship up there too, I didn't notice. That I could have drawn like right down there. Can't really see the chakras. That we can see it there. Not up there. This one's a mess inside. Hard to say what's happening. Same. Okay. And then this one is again one stack, but like it's not even alignment of like their stacking exactly, it's just alignment of their components, not even the same components. So like maybe I'll open this one too. 416. Like right here we see this ridge, so I just went down from this ridge and that's where these are. Like this subtle structure there, and then down from the pointing out structure of the middle one down to there, and then just drew a chakra, a line through the chakra. This one's kind of bends a little bit due to the rock not having space to form within it quite exactly enough, so it kind of bent, took the shape of the container somewhat, but they're still stacked really well. There's probably other relationships like this boundary down to this boundary right there, this boundary down to its equivalent probably, that's not actually eroded out. And then this boundary here to here doesn't quite go to that, but it goes to like where, if this little protrusion didn't exist, if this just wraps around, it goes to there. And then this boundary, maybe I basically started down here and went up. And generally it's around where this boundary is. It's a little hard when it's like these more complex structures, like over there as well, but it just shows there's a relationship that shouldn't be there. It just shouldn't be there. Like this one's pretty incredible. When I have like 8 lines on the thing on one face that are showing more than 2.1 to 3 point relationship along this whole face and then over to there, which is kind of more than 1 point when it's along a whole face. It's like the difference between being resting on like a needle tip and like a table. Like there's more than one point. So that is more than one point, in a sense. And then this chakra, I didn't draw it over here because I didn't know what to... Figured you guys can eyeball it. It's not quite at the boundary. It's... the structure isn't eroded out. Maybe had it eroded out more, it might have formed a chakra that like stopped there, but can't really tell. Possibly what's going on with these lines, probably related to what's going on over there. I just didn't draw it because it goes around the corner. And then this current path around here relates where it like goes off this way from this corner to this far face to this far face, as well as from this corner to the closer side and widens like a V, as well as from this boundary along the top face. It's a little bent, like the top face is more rounded than a straight line across, but I basically drew from here to there and just let it be. That's how it is there. And then this boundary up this way across, generally where this begins and where this begins, as well as this boundary to there and to this. Like, so there's three, this straight face, and this point at the middle point, in the middle. This one's incredible. Both sides of the chakra, of this chakra, align with both sides of this chakra. This face aligns with this face. This face aligns over this way. It's possible, like, relatively parallel here and here. It doesn't look quite like it, so I just drew it. This is a kind of angled face, so I just put it in angled over to there. So then along this face, I extended it to generally the boundary of this one. Along this face extends to this boundary of this one. And then I put in along this face, which extends to the boundary of here generally. It's a little off there. And then between these is a straight surface as well, and I just extended that outward, and it relates over there. So all sorts of interrelated connections here that really prove whether or not I've gone through and done the randomness test, and I have any concept of how to really do that in a mathematical sense. Doesn't really matter. You can just look at it. This fossils shouldn't do this. You can say, well, if with enough fossils anything can happen. That's just excuses to deny what's right in front of your face. If you're saying that, there's too many of them. I could understand if it was only coming up with 3 relationships, but this is literally many, especially when you take into account entire flat faces like this that relate to other points or flat faces like this. When you take into account all of it, it's clearly caused by current flows and not fossils. So let's just start at this chakra, follow this chakra. This is kind of the top of this lobe, which I haven't really had. I try to avoid those because it's confusing to just look at it. But because it goes up to here and through that top point, it's worth noting. Up to the inside of where this is etched out, boundary, through the chakras, there's relationship. And then this face over here, even though it bends, connecting across that face to where this etches out, the top of that, through the very tip to over here. And that very tip aligns with this edge, which goes through this subtle chakra. So I drew a line along this edge up to here and looked between, and it aligns with this chakra and this chakra that's forming around this ammonite structure. So this point is obviously relevant to this flow and to this flow then. And then I just used this structure along this. At that point, I was like, maybe over here too, and that goes through this far end, as well as below the chakra, like where down here, it's like directly below the chakra. And then to this flat face over here. So again, we have many relationships, and there's probably more. Like I probably spent five minutes on each one of these, besides looking for which images I wanted to use. Like quickly, and most of the time spent just literally doing the formatting and things and just drawing some lines, adding color. It's very much just like that kind of thing. Through the chakras to this boundary, through these chakras to this boundary, and then boundary to boundary, and then again a triple point or 4 point even up there, kind of too. But let's say triple point connection of these boundaries. And then that very far point along that boundary to that far point to that far point. That's the only reason I drew this one, really. I just thought that was really telling. And that's all of them that I drew. Now there's this one that I've talked about in the past. So I put in this list purposely because it's got arrows on it that really demonstrate, like, these aren't just straight lines. The flows are complex, but there are straight lines in the flows as well. So we can find those straight lines, the relationships from the straight lines of the flows, and like map it like I just did to a degree, without like exhausting the totality of what's happening. Like there's much more going on. There's current flows bending. That's the point. There's more to it than what I just showed, but it's still present in the structures. Maybe this is a good time to just real quick bring up, I was looking over here yesterday where, I don't know, I'm not sure what to reference. Hopefully you know what I'm talking about from my other videos, relating to the Hawaii, like Earth's undercurrents. Just watch Earth's undercurrents if you don't know. If you don't know what I'm talking about, that's the fastest way to at least have a concept of what I'm talking about. Where there's a structure forming right here that has like an eddy around it of literal current flows while the Earth was expanding, of like basalt and water based, maybe. I'm not sure if water was really involved, but this then leads to jet streams coming out of it like a gamma ray burst. But this structure was actually, before the Earth expanded, was over here producing a jet stream up this way, which went up between Baja California and Mexico, through the Gulf of California, through here. And I was looking at this, and I was thinking it probably runs into resistance up here. Like there's a batholith involved with these mountains. There's a magnetic anomaly through the center of California. So this current is probably coming up here, also going this way, but also going around this way and bending. And in so doing, it bends along the San Andreas Fault and creates it. And then continues up where the resistance is not at, like there's definitely pressures out here that are encouraging it not to just flow out this way. So it goes past and around the resistance and then through between a channel of optimal flow path up this way. And as it's doing this, it's bringing material up here that then gets accreted over here as a Baja BC. See my Baja BC episodes? and just the theory itself as a whole, which has lots and lots of basis and research around it, and denial, and other and reasons, and things that need incorporated, admittedly, and things that are just, it's all needs to be put into the Earth expansion process in a global flood where the Earth expansion was due to a vortex weapon used on ancient Dwarka over here. I know how ridiculous that just sounded if you were listening all along and didn't ever hear me speak before, and all of a sudden I just said the words I just said. But it is what it is. It is what it is. See my Ancient Dwarka video, Earth's Undercurrents, and Gurnar playlist, so many things. There's just so many elements to the details. But then the current went up this way and went around it. Someone on Reddit asked about this triangle, which kind of brought my attention back to it, and people were answering, so I was like, maybe I can learn something here. And they mentioned that there's a fault line here. I was like, oh, there's another fault line there. So San Andreas and then Garlock fault line. It's like, So I started looking, and this fault line is literally perfect. Like, it goes right through here to here. Here's where it basically begins, and over this way. So it like bends. Wow. San Andreas, like a current comes up here, runs into this, and goes around. So there's two bending currents there, both trying to go outside this way and up, and probably joining at that point. But if we follow this over here, it's got this straight path. I was thinking it might be related over here to like a straight path here that came down this way from one of the jets. Like, this one created the San Andreas, but there's adjacent jets off of it. That perhaps it was one of those, or it might also have came from over here, even this way, across here, crossed through here, basically, made its way through here and up that way. It's probably, honestly, both are contributing. But so I was looking at that. I don't have much to add to what I just said right now, but it's something on my mind recently. Maybe it can shed some light on things I missed over in this region, haven't accounted for yet. It's kind of like a flame here. Like, this is kind of like a flame, especially here. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, I'm gonna stop there. Alright, guys. I'll see you guys in the next one. And real quick, I believe this is 348, yeah. So that means I have 12 more episodes to go to 360. So I'm probably gonna stop then for foreseeable future. And maybe forever if I die. Not to say I feel like I'm going to, it's just certainly a possibility. Just in life in general, especially when health issues just seem to get worse by the day. Sometimes not, but a lot of the times, yes. Especially sitting here, like I'm literally sitting on my problem health-wise. It's not helping for sure. So I literally need to stop. So there's that going on. So, the final countdown's coming up, guys. 12 episodes to go. I am 29/30ths of the way. Something. around the circle, then I complete the circle. And then if I ever make another episode, my thought is it will be in a condition where I feel like my health is okay again enough to do so, and then maybe I'll try to go for 720, like full blown another 360 episodes. That was kind of what I was thinking. But right now, like, especially without any recognition of my research, it's literally killing me. This is killing me. It's just is what it is. It's fucking killing me to do this. Like, most people, when they do work, they get compensation so that they're like able to have like an energy exchange. Me, I just get fucked. I'm just like, I mean, in some ways I don't believe in money, so like I don't think it should be a thing anyway. But because the world believes in money, I have to like be basically handcuffed. You're not allowed to do anything without money in this world, even though money is really not good. It's inefficient in terms of like if you do something and then convert that into money and then convert that money into something else, energetically entropy occurs. It's just a fact of the universe to convert between forms of energy, entropy. Using money like we do as if it's just like truth. Oh yeah, this is the way we should do things. No, it's not. It's engineering principles. Basic engineering principles disprove the use of money. It's not complicated. It's easy. It's fast. But the problem is people get to be assholes, like, and no ramifications because they got money, kind of thing. They can just burn down a entire. Whatever happened over here was not okay. I'm pretty sure, was it here? Pretty, like, the shit that's happening. Oh, it's over on this side. The shit that's happening here is a land grab. Is not okay. There's people who are dead. Children got sent home from school because of high winds. And then literally burned alive in the fires that some motherfuckers who are literally land grabbing this pristine land for themselves as rich. They want to make this island the first AI controlled island in the world, and all this stupid shit that the NWO, unelected officials of World Economic Forum, and all these backdoor agreements. They're like, well, we gotta get the people off the land. Do not trust these motherfuckers. They're literally already trying to buy the land from the people. The governor's talking. How are we gonna use the land? It's not your fucking land, dude. What the fuck are you talking about? What are we gonna do? It's still theirs just because a fire was on top. It just goes to show they already got plans. There's so much going on with this. I don't know what to make of it entirely. I mean, it's just sad. Do not trust any government of this world. They're non-living entities. They don't exist. They don't breathe. They come to life at your expense. It's as simple as that. At our expense. And then they become powerful and stomp out the living. Because they don't really like the living. Because they're dead. They're like, they just like voids. Then it's equilibrium. They're like, you know, I don't actually exist. This is not balance, being around all these people that exist. Let's just get rid of them, then I'll be back in my void. That's what governments are. They're voids that sap the energy from society and then create basis for their existence by sapping the energy from society. Oh, Were there people stealing because they had nothing? Sure, some of them steal because they've gotten accustomed to it and they want a lot of things, and maybe more than is in any way reasonable whatsoever. But isn't that just a side effect of a government? Are we sure it's not? And using money and all the things we do that we just don't really think about. There's better ways, like working together. Like some people, there's literally people sending supplies. The supplies are not going through the Red Cross and whatever other bullshit, like non-living entity that takes control of things, lies to the world. Like, makes me think of Medicine Without Borders or whatever, Doctors Without Borders, those fucking scam artists. I literally know one of the doctors was an actor. I found his social media where it said he was an actor, and there was no sign of any education towards anything but acting. And he was on like New York Times claiming to be a fucking doctor, talking about Ebola in Africa. These people are not trustworthy. Don't give your shit to some middleman. Just give it to who you feel deserves it. Oh, do you need help? Here. It's not complicated. Don't let these fucking governments take your money. Oh, you're not giving enough. We'll do it for you, and then we'll give it to Ukraine while this happens. Oh my god, it's sad. Alright. See you guys in the next one. Peace out.